Hey guys, and welcome back to Covenant Canon. Last week marks the 15th anniversary of the release of Halo Reach. So in honor of this turning point, I thought it would be best to make a video on what the Covenant was doing during the events of the fall of Reach. This will be covering everything the Covenant was doing during the events when Reach fell. This will be including shipmasters, fleet deployments, and all such Covenant activities. I will not, however, be covering all the events of the Fall of Reach. If you guys want that, be sure to check out the Fall of Reach timeline video made by the retired Halo Canon. If you guys like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Any of these are a great help to the channel. But without further ado, let's get started. This is the full accounting of the Covenant's activities during the Fall of Reach. At some unknown time prior to July of 2552, Supreme Commander Ro Barutami of the Covenant Fleet of Valiant Prudence detected local human forces in the Beta Eridani system, whereupon he came into possession of a Forerunner Luminary, an ancient device designed to scan and identify other Forerunner artifacts. This one held symbols reminiscent of those of the old Forerunner builder rate. After studying the artifact personally, the Supreme Commander gathered his forces, eradicated the local human population, and departed for this new world. On July 23rd, 2552, the fleet of Valiant Prudence arrived at Reach. To Ro's surprise, the planet held a massive human military presence, and so he made preparations for a protracted battle. But the Supreme Commander's objectives was not simply to glass Reach. His eyes was set on a far greater prize. He held no interest in the war with humanity, but in fact, his purpose was to gather Forerunner artifacts that would lead him to the fabled Mithrilion, the old capital of the Forerunner Empire. When old Forerunner builder rates appeared all across the planet, he took this as a sign that he was close to finding the fabled capital. To that end, Ro dispatched his elite artifact retrieval team of zealots, known as the Devoted Sentries, to gather any intelligence for potential artifacts that lay within the planet. The fleet then established a landing site for their invasion force within the Vieri territory, hidden by a series of stealth pylons. This alerted the Office of Naval Intelligence to the Covenant's presence on Reach, and so they covertly worked to remove any Forerunner artifacts that they were studying. One such was at Teller Station, located at an Oort cloud near Reach, but station personnel unintentionally activated the relic, drawing the attention of Ro Barutami. This led to a protracted battle between him and Vice Admiral Michael Stanforth, in which the UNSC Admiral managed to trap the Covenant forces over Reach. Meanwhile, one of the Devoted Sentry teams was sent to the Visegrad Relay, where they slaughtered the station personnel and cut off communication with the surrounding region as they attempt to gather data on the excavation of Forerunner relics. The UNSC, believing it to be no more than insurgents from the insurrection, sent first Army fire teams who were swiftly slaughtered. Then finally, Spartan Noble Team. The Spartans swiftly discovered the Covenant's presence and swiftly drove the invaders out, but not before their leader, a Sangheili field marshal, escaped the battle. Their presence had initiated the winter contingency. The Covenant had finally found Reach. Thus began what would be known as the Fall of Reach. In the days following the initiation of the winter contingency, the fleet of Valiant Prudence engaged the UNSC in numerous battles, including the Battle of Oni Sword Base on July 26th, when a Covenant corvette besieged the facility, until it was destroyed with the assistance of Noble Team. 2 weeks later, the Spartans discovered the fleet's landing forces in the Vieri territory and attacked it the next day. The UNSC forces inflicted heavy losses among the Covenant, including a teleportation spire, but it also cloaked Barutumi's flagship, the Shawada pattern supercarrier known as the Long Night of Solace. When it revealed itself, it destroyed the UNSC Grafton, and the tide of battle turned. Overwhelmed by such a massive force, the UNSC had no choice but to retreat. The supercarrier would soon lay waste to other UNSC battle groups, so much so that it would become a prime target for the UNSC in what became known as Operation Uppercut. On August 14th, 2552, Noble Team boarded the Covenant corvette Ardent Prayer, killed its shipmaster Ardo Mortuomi, and brought aboard a makeshift slip-space bomb. The plan was to activate the bomb within the corvette as it made a refueling track towards the supercarrier. All went to plan until the detonation device was damaged, forcing Noble Team member George 052 to stay behind and trigger it manually. The Spartan sacrificed himself as the Long Night of Solace was split in two, thus claiming the life of Ro Barutami. But just as the supercarrier fell, a massive war fleet sent by the Covenant Ministry of Resolution exited space. Cruisers, corvettes, assault carriers, and many more vessels arrived, making George's sacrifice a vain one. In the wake of Barutami's death, his second-in-command, Kentar Utarali, assumed command of what remained of the fleet of Valiant Prudence and attempted to recover what remained of the lost Forerunner relics from Teller Station. From August 15th to August 30th, more and more Covenant ships descended upon Reach to set it aflame. This armada included the combined fleet of Righteous Purpose, the fleet of Holy Respite, the fleet of Righteous Vigilance, and the fleet of Particular Justice, under the command of Thel Vadami, the future Arbiter. For over a month, Covenant forces besieged and glassed countless cities across the planet, from Manassas to Estergom, and finally, New Alexandria, the crown jewel of Reach. Finally, on August 30th, 2552, Reach had fallen to the overwhelming might of the Covenant. It had been the central military power base for the UNSC throughout the war, and was second only to Earth in population, size, and logistical strength. The planet was heavily glassed and would be rendered uninhabitable for many years, until pioneers sought to revitalize it in 2559. And yet, as Reach fell, a single human ship managed to evade the Covenant fleets and made a random slip-space jump. This forced Supreme Commander Thel Vadami to mobilize the fleet of Particular Justice into pursuit, leading to the discovery of Alpha Halo. Though the fall of Reach had been a crushing blow to the UNSC, it would set into motion the events that would lead to the Covenant's downfall and the end of its long war with humanity.